And a very happy Monday to you at 12:08 in the West. Talk Radio 790 KABC, the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in a very chilly Culver City.
John, on Friday, President Trump toured the devastation in the Pacific Palisades and then held a roundtable with local elected leaders and residents. LA County Supervisor Chair Catherine Barger had a very important message for the president.
And I have made them this commitment because this is my last term, that for the next 4 years, you talk about 18 months, I've told our county staff that if you're going to get in the way, then get another job. Because we are an all-hands-on-deck. And quite frankly, if the bureaucracy can't get out of the way, we'll just roll over it. And
she did it to the president.
I like the substance of what she had to say, and I like the way she said it.
quite frankly,
I've got to tell you, we signed off on Friday, and we knew that the president was coming to town. And beyond that, we really didn't know much. We didn't know if Newsom would greet him at the airport. We didn't know what kind of relationship those two would have. We don't know what he would do with the fire victims. We didn't know if he would have a public meeting with all the dignitaries. And I've got to tell you, I have been watching clips from that press conference all weekend long, and the closest I can describe it to is if you've ever seen someone in the hospital with access to the morphine drip and they just keep hitting the button over and over and over again, that's me with the replay button. It was the most cathartic thing I've ever seen, where you have all of these people who have failed us for so long, made dumb decision after dumb decision after dumb decision in a one-party state where there's no pushback from anyone in power. You have the media that is essentially, as Doug McIntyre likes to say, driving the getaway car. There are no consequences for bad decisions. There are no consequences for bad behavior. You can do whatever you want, and then you just blame everyone else when it blows up in your face like a hillbilly's rifle. And then, as Mel Gibson described on Sean Hannity's program, Daddy came to town and took off his belt. And when Daddy came to town and took off his belt, there was some comeuppance for the people who have done us wrong. And oh boy, did they get theirs. And Randy, we have some of that sound.
Why don't we start with everybody's favorite, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass.
If you're feeling down, if you're feeling blue, let's get help for you.
The president was not too happy with Karen Bass's response.
Mayor, please.
Yes. First of all,
By the way, really, really funny. He gives this, speech for about 15 minutes before he starts taking questions from the roundtable and talks about how devastating it is, how seeing it up close really changes you. And then when he throws it open to questions, Karen Bass holds her hand up. You think she would speak first because she's sitting right next to Melania. And Brad Sherman says, no, I got to talk first. Brad freaking Sherman. But here, let's get to Karen Bass after Brad Sherman wasted everybody's time.
Mayor, please.
yes. First of all, let me just take the opportunity to officially welcome you to Los Angeles. Really.
This is what they know. This is what they do. They hate him when he's not here, but when he comes to town, oh boy, they'll kiss his ass too.
And how are you feeling about the fact that Gavin wasn't even invited to this?
Oh, I love it. He's not relevant. He's blaming Bass. So if everyone's going to throw the heat to Bass, you might as well have Bass there.
Really appreciate you coming, and especially you come just a few days after your inauguration. So I want you to know that your presence here is very much appreciated. Let me also say that I know you had an opportunity to see the devastation. You've seen the extreme loss, the grief that people are going through here. And we are 100% committed to getting this neighborhood rebuilt again. You mentioned
the LA way. It'll be rebuilt in 15 years.
Not if he has anything to say about that.
You mentioned a couple of things in terms of us expediting. So I signed executive directives right away so that we could cut the red tape. We could get people back building as fast as possible. And we're going to continue doing that.
Mayor, the one thing is they are saying they will not be allowed to start for 18 months.
No, that will not be the case.
Okay, so let's go ahead and stop the tape here for a second, because we had people who are listeners to this program call in who lost their homes to this fire. And they spoke with construction officials, they spoke with people who are in the know, and they were told that realistically it's going to take between 3 and 5 years to rebuild to get their home to a point to where they could move in.
Now, how much of that timetable is Barbara Ferrer mopping up the ash?
Oh, yes. And then we have Barbara Ferrer.
Yeah.
There was a county official who spoke with the fire victims earlier who told them that it will take them 18 months to get that area cleaned up before they will sign off on them being able to start the process to rebuild. Barbara Ferrer issued a statement on social media saying until that date happened, they're not allowed to go back. And then for those who were allowed to go back, she said on social media that you could not use electronic devices to remove the debris, that she wants you to gently sweep and use a mop and water to clean up the fire debris.
Next slide.
This the same social media account that doesn't allow comments?
And it's also the same social media account that puts sexually explicit directions on how to clean your marital devices.
You can't even you can't even read word for word what those things say.
It's so sexually explicit, I don't even know if I could do it on a podcast.
That will not be the case.
Okay, I just hope
that
you're
will
right.
not. You can hold me to it.
There's 4 groups said that.
No.
That would be they should.
So he just talked with all the victims, and they told him exactly what they've been hearing. And Karen Bass like, no, we know what we're doing. We know how to do it.
What's funny is the time frames that we're hearing are quite consistent. Everyone seems to be giving the same time frame, that it's going to take 18 months to clean it up and 3 to 5 years to rebuild. And he's saying that's not acceptable, that they need to start much sooner than that. They need to start pronto. And now she's backtracking and saying, well, I never said that it'll take 3 to 5 years. I never said that it'll take 18 months to clean up. Don't blame me.
That would be they should be able to do it. They should be able to start tonight.
That will not be the case. You know, first we have to take care to make sure that there's not getting rid of the hazardous waste, cleaning things up so that people can start right away. And just like you said, if somebody their house was destroyed and they're going to rebuild essentially the same, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit higher, they really shouldn't have to go through much of a process. So I want you to know that we are expediting that. We absolutely need your help. We need the federal help.
She wants the wallet.
Oh, yeah. She wants money from the federal government without any strings attached to it at all. But listen very closely to what she's saying. She's saying we're going to speed it up. So if it's going to take 18 months to clean up and 3 to 5 years to rebuild, if it takes, let's say, 2.5 to 4 years, or it takes, instead of 18 months, it takes 16 to 17 months, from her point of view, she's good on her word. But none of those people are going to stick around and rebuild if that's how long it takes. The gentleman who called in who lost his home in that fire seemed like he was of retirement age. Well, if you're of retirement age and you are someone who just lost their house and you're talking about spending 3 to 5 years going through an administrative maze and a bureaucratic nightmare, why wouldn't you just sell to some developer and buy a fresh new house in Orange County?
We absolutely need your help. We need the federal help.
You got it. I told you. You will have no permit problem. There will be zero delay. And as far as I'm concerned, you already have the permits.
And the resources.
Give me the money. Give me the money.
She keeps going back to the money.
And they want a blank check so they can spend it on whatever they want, just like she did when she was the Speaker of the Assembly.
Which means she's going to waste it on all of her political benefactors, especially now that she's on the ropes. because that poll came out and shows that she would lose in a head-to-head matchup with Rick Caruso, she needs to get all of the usual suspects in line, which means there needs to be money for the homeless organizations. There needs to be money for the unions. There needs to be money for the developers. She needs to play the role of Santa Claus and make it rain.
Because I met at least 8 groups of homeowners, and I'm much more worried about the fact that they said it's 18 months exactly. And they were devastated. They want to start now. They want to start removing things. They're not allowed to do it now. And you mentioned hazardous waste. Well, the hazardous waste, what's hazardous waste? I mean, you're going to have to define that. We're going to go through a whole series of questions on determining what's hazardous.
Nope.
I just think you have to.
Nope.
Think about this for a second. Think about how these things normally work, where you have some problem, you have the feds meeting with the local people. Typically, don't you find the arguments going the other way, where it's the local councilman, the local mayor, the local congressman, the local fill in the blank, and they're saying, look, we just got hit by this hurricane, we just got hit by this tornado, we just got hit by fill in the blank, an earthquake, and we want to rebuild. But there's all of this red tape coming from the federal government. We have all of these roadblocks. We need to do this fast because our people need to get back in their homes. Every time I go to the grocery store, I hear from people, when can I get back in my home? I'm pumping gas in my car. I hear from people. It's usually the locals that are putting the pedal to the metal with the feds and saying, we need to get this done faster. We need to get this done right now. What can we do to expedite this? In this particular case, it's the opposite. Trump is speaking like a ward councilman, trying to rush this thing through to get people back in their homes, and it's the local authorities that are stonewalling everything.
I just think you have to allow.
How many times did she say nope?
Questions on determining what's hazardous. I just think you have to.
That's 4 nopes.
A lot of them.
Questions on determining what's hazardous. I just think you have to allow the people to go on their site and start the process tonight.
And we will.
Okay, good.
You can come back and check.
Okay, we've had fires in this region since the beginning of time. There was one nasty fire a long time ago that just leveled Los Angeles and everyone just slept on the beach because that's like one big ashtray. Everyone was on the sand. And we've been rebuilding ever since. Yes, items burned up in the fire. Yes, it's disgusting. Yes, it's filled with all kinds of things that you'd rather not deal with. But you have to clean it up and you have to move on. And 18 months is not acceptable. Think about Las Vegas when you implode a building. You put dynamite there. You implode the building, fine. It blows up. We watch it on YouTube 9,000 times. You send it to all the people on your list. And they have that thing cleaned up, and they have the next thing ready to go, lickety-split. And that's a high-rise building in the middle of the desert. It's possible to do these things. It's possible to rebuild if you have the proper motivation. But the reflexive position at the local level is no. Coastal Commission says no. No. City says no. No. Environmentalists say no. No. Attorneys taking us to court say no. And you come up with all of these artificial barriers for progress. It's why we can't build the bullet train. It's why we can't build anything in this region unless they get some kind of special carve-out. You notice that. Whenever they really want something to be built, they had to do this with Staples Center. They come up with legislation where they have all of these specific carve-outs so the chosen ones don't have to jump through the hoops. And the chosen ones find a way to get it done. But if you're not one of the chosen ones and you have to go through all of the bureaucratic mazes that everyone else has to go through, the project just doesn't finish anything close to on time.
I want the Steve Ballmer treatment.
No kidding. But that's literally what's required. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, since it's a cool day, if you want to sit by the fire later on tonight and fire up an old podcast edition of this program, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is go to KABC.com, click on podcast, go to the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify, search for The John Phillips Show, hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. You can do a Google on the YouTube or get that handy-dandy KABC app. Search KABC AM in the Apple App Store or the Android Store. It's the easiest way to listen live to this radio station and download all the podcasts. And, you know, it's true. Sense memory is a thing. If you're feeling cold, if you listen to something that's talking about something warm, you'll feel warm. So listen to when they melted the Oakland basketball court.
Oh my God, they melted the basketball court.
And coming up next week, Randy, we're going on the road.
Oh, how exciting is this? We're finally heading to Orange County. Come see Johnny and I broadcast live from noon to 3 on Friday, February 7th at Rove, Santa Ana. Rove, Santa Ana is a full-service EV charging station for commuters and road trippers with 40 ultra-fast EV chargers, a 24/7 lounge with restrooms and free Wi-Fi, a car wash, and a premium convenience store Recharge by our friends at Gelson's. You can enjoy fresh chef-crafted meals, coffee, beverages, and grocery staples with the quality you expect from Gelson's, all while you charge your car. There's plenty of parking for non-EVs as well. If you're just looking for a quick place in Orange County to pick up breakfast, lunch, or dinner, help you through that busy day, we're going to have free samples from vendors and barbecuing coming on. So come hungry as we broadcast live. Rove and Recharge by Gelson's are located at 1008 East 17th Street in Santa Ana, off the 5 at the corner of East 17th Street and Lincoln Avenue. We'll see you there live Friday the 7th.
In the meantime, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
790 KABC welcomes the Totally Tubular Festival with Right Said Fred, Men Without Hats, The Motels, and many more. It's all going to be at the YouTube Theater on June 30th. Tickets are on sale Friday at Ticketmaster.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Live Nation. Good luck dialing.
Right now, we're going through the sound of President Trump's visit to Los Angeles.
Let's go back to Catherine Barger, because what she told the president was quite interesting, especially his response. And I'm not just talking about when she said, quite frankly.
And I have made them this commitment because this is my last term, that for the next 4 years, you talk about 18 months, I've told our county staff that if you're going to get in the way, then get another job. Because we are an all-hands-on-deck. And quite frankly, if the bureaucracy can't get out of the way, we'll just...
It was such a good one, too.
Bureaucracy can't get out of the way, we'll just roll over it. And we've said that, and we've made it clear. The governor's waived CEQA, which I feel should be completely reformed, if not eliminated. And if it's being...
This is where Gavin come in and say, I've reformed CEQA more than anybody else. And why is it still impossible to build here, Gavin?
CEQA is one of the worst things to ever hit the state of California. And it's not something that ends up on the front page of the newspaper, so it's not easy to really attack on a regular basis, because what they do is, generally speaking, behind the scenes, and it's complicated. But I'll tell you, eliminating CEQA would certainly make it easier to build things in California, and it would be a massive help.
Eliminated for this.
How are they doing with CEQA?
How are they doing?
How is it? What's been the attitude of the people running that whole situation?
It adds sometimes years on to an application.
Can't do it. Can't.
No, and the governor's
and Coastal Commission also.
Uh-oh, he's educated on the subject.
He's a landowner here, and he's a landowner on the coast. Don't forget, his golf course is in Palos Verdes.
And Coastal Commission also.
He waived that.
We're going to have to override the Coastal Commission, because I've dealt with the Coastal Commission for a long time, and they are considered the most difficult in the entire country. And we cannot have them play their games and wait 10 years to give somebody a permit. In fact, I'm going to override the Coastal Commission. I'm not going to let them get away with their antics.
Well,
that one got a big applause.
In fact, I've played his golf course before. His golf course is beautiful in Palos Verdes. But in one of the storms, one of his holes essentially fell into the ocean, if I'm not mistaken. and he had to rebuild a portion of that golf course. And my guess is that everything he did to rebuild had to go through the Coastal Commission.
Let's go back to a question that was focused at Karen Bass, where the residents of the Palisades and Donald Trump pile on her to say, what's with this 18-month timeline?
We're all sitting here now, and
Is that local?
yeah.
You got to do. You got to.
So when we're sitting here now, and Mayor,
I don't want to be the only one to give you permits like in one day, and then I find out that the cities, the towns, and the state is not going to give you permits and the problem with permits, it only takes one. Yeah. You might need 7 different permits. You shouldn't have any at this point. You should just let them build. And you're only as good as the weakest one. So if you have one that's going to hold you up, but the others are going to give it to you in 24 hours, it's not going to help you very much. So they have to work on that.
we were told last night 18 months. So if that's not the answer, Mayor Bass, what is the answer? Because
That's what everybody said.
That's what we were all told last night.
Well, and let me just tell you that we are going to do everything we can, slashing regulations.
We're going to make Barbara Ferrer mop with 2 hands.
Expediting everything so that people can begin the process right away. We have the Disaster Recovery Center on Pico and Westwood. We have building and safety there. People are already contacting the local agencies. We're bringing our city departments together so that people don't get caught in the loop of going from one room to the next. We want them all to be in the same room so that you can get busy rebuilding ASAP.
Okay. Just to be clear, what everyone in that room is citing, what they said to Donald Trump when they met with Donald Trump, the president, before they met with the mayor and the president and everyone else at this public meeting, was Karen Bass was in the same meeting with the public works director when he said the debris would not be removed for 18 months. She was there. She learned about that timeline at the same time that the homeowners learned about it. The meeting took place hours before the roundtable with Trump and the wildfire victims, and she sat there and lied to their faces. And she didn't speak up when her public works director said that it would take 18 months. She was perfectly willing to go along with that until Trump showed up at that meeting and rattled the cage.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And we will clear the lots, absolutely, in the city.
Boy, she's turning into Shang by the minute.
Imagine if Shang was the mayor of Los Angeles.
And he said, absolutely.
And we will clear the lots, absolutely, in the city and in the county. We are working together, both levels of government.
We're locking arms.
Oh, don't tell me she's going to turn into Rob Bonta, too.
Are working in unity.
That'd be 18 months. Is it not 18 months? Is it like we?
This is broadcast for everyone to see. This video, a ton of people have watched it, of residents of the Palisades asking Karen Bass over and over and over again, what the hell's with the 18 months? And then president's piling on.
That's the answer that we got, and that's what we're all hanging on.
Yes.
So if you're telling us now faster, is it 6 months? Is it? I mean, all of our lives, rents, all this stuff is weighing on this.
6 months is no good.
Well, keep in mind, if your home burned down in the fire and you have to find alternate lodging, the rate that you pay depends on how long you're willing to sign the contract for. If you're going month to month, that's one thing. If you're going for 6 months, that's one thing. If you're going for 12 months, that's one thing. If you need lodging for potentially 5 years, you pay a different rate. So if they lie to them about the timeline, then that could potentially result in them being hosed in terms of how much rent they pay.
And the number one thing that we are going to do immediately, and you will see this happen, is to clear out the debris. And we're concerned right now over the weekend because of the potential rain, but we are going to move.
All that debris in the ocean now.
No open water swims for a while.
But we are going to move as fast as we can, but we want you to be safe, and we want you to be back in your homes immediately.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't cost a lot.
Yes, and they can.
You should let them do it because by the time you hire contractors, it's going to be...
What she's saying here is also not true. I saw in the news this weekend that there was the National Guard, there were police that were blocking the ability for homeowners to get to their property. And some of them said that what the National Guard said to them was, look, we can't let you there, but if our backs are turned and you sneak around, we can't do anything about it.
Because by the time you hire contractors, it's going to be 2 years.
If a family...
People are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can
There's not that much.
Better get a mop.
That's what the fake doctor says.
There's not that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, it's just going to take a long time if you do. You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking. I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours. And
it'll be beautiful.
From what I understand, by the way, and maybe this is true and maybe this isn't, when there's a fire that burns down your house, typically the foundation is actually okay. Everything else needs to go, but the foundation itself is typically still there.
And that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract that's going to charge him $25,000 to do his lot.
Yeah.
I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because
She's getting mad.
Well, again, this is the business he was in. He was in real estate before he got involved in politics. So he's done this before. He understands how to build a house, how to build a building, and how difficult it can be with the permitting process and all of the layers of bureaucracy. She was expecting him to come in not knowing anything. And the fact that he is well aware of how this all works, I think caught her by surprise.
You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because you have a very powerful emergency power, and you can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can.
That's news to them.
Yeah, that is not what they're experiencing. That is not what is happening.
And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can.
That's all the residents saying, no, we can't.
And I think she figures if she just says it on TV, people will believe her, but it's just simply not true.
Well, yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Okay, that's different. They can is different than you will be able to at some point.
This isn't going well for her.
No, those are two totally different statements.
Mr. President.
We think within a week.
That's a long time, a week.
It's also not true, by the way. She's just saying whatever she needs to say to take the heat off of her.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important thing is for people to be safe.
They're safe. They're safe. You know what? They're not safe. They're not safe now.
Fair statement.
Yeah, no kidding.
They're going to be much safer. A week is actually a long time, the way I look at it. I watched hundreds of people standing in front of their lots, and they're not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in. The people are all over the place. They're standing, and I say, why aren't you going in? We're trying to get a permit, and the permit's going to take them. Everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18 months.
That was last night.
And that was last night.
On that.
It's just people yelling at Karen Bass now.
Because they're not used to anyone calling them out. This is typically how it works. You have a meeting where you say it's going to take 18 months. People get angry about it. Then the cameras are there. Oh, no, we never said 18 months. And no one calls them out on it. And we just move on, and they congratulate one another and tell them how great of a job they're doing. And no one's there to say that's not true. Trump is being a disruptor in this meeting where he's calling her out on her BS, and it's never happened to her before. So she doesn't know how to respond.
We are blocked from entering clearing our streets. We can't even. This is our first time we saw our house was yesterday.
Mr. President.
This did not go well for Karen Bass.
No, it didn't. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Angela writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and says, one thing the Roundtable proved for certain is that our city leaders aren't even smart enough to know when to shut up.
Well, they should have been smart enough not to show up to that press conference, because if you're going to tell the people it's going to take 18 months, and when the president presses you on that number, you deny that number ever existed, it's not going to go well.
They did Gavin a favor by snubbing him from that meeting.
Yeah, no kidding. Right now, we're going through the sound of President Trump's visit to Los Angeles.
This one got awkward as Brad Sherman tried to ask the president about the fact that if a homeowner lost their insurance before the fire, they're only entitled to about $45,000 from FEMA. Trump schooled him.
Mr. President, without your help, they're only going to get $43,000 from the federal government, even if they have a half million dollar.
You did something,
loss.
Brad, where every insurance company in the country left California. That's why you have no insurance, because you.
It's like he listens to this podcast.
I love it.
That's why you have no insurance, because you made it so impossible. People that think like you made it so impossible. And
Brad, me,
every
Mr.
insurance
President,
company.
I don't know what
I'll tell you this
about my thinking.
I've never seen a state where almost nobody has insurance. And I said, what happened? And they said, like 6 months ago, they all left. And 2 years ago, they had different, quadrants, but they left. And you have very little insurance here. I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
If only the people running this state would treat that like an emergency.
You notice that as a federal official, he is well versed on the crisis that we're experiencing here with the insurance market, and no one in the state legislature seems to care. The insurance commissioner doesn't care. The governor doesn't care. None of the people who have control over it seem to care.
And you have very little insurance here. I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
We had a lot of insurance companies pull out, but I have no idea.
And the insurance companies actually have been warning you. Now, I'm not a big fan of insurance companies, okay? They have their big drawbacks, too. But the insurance company, I read the papers very well. And, they've been warning California for a long time. They've also been saying, we want water. You don't have water. You're supposed to get fire insurance. And the insurance company goes, you don't have any water in your fire hydrants. So it's a tough situation. I'm not a big fan of insurance companies. I get that.
Is anybody?
No.
They're pulling out of Florida.
Anybody look at those Limu Emu commercials and think, hey, that's funny?
The only one who likes insurance companies is Flo from Progressive.
They're pulling out of Florida
Brad,
as
you
well.
lost your insurance company 6 months ago because the state wouldn't give them what they had to have.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
You notice he's trying to shift it to Florida. It's like, well, we live here. Can we talk about the problems where we live?
That would be nice.
I don't care what happens in the other 49 states. Let them figure it out. We live here. Anyway,